Welcome to the program agenda. Good morning to all of you. I am your host, your kuya, your friend, Cito Beltran, thanking you for joining us once again this morning here on One News. And thank you for being subscribers of Cignal TV. Hindi ko po titigil yung pasasalamat na yan because I'm also trying to convey this attitude of gratitude to all our viewers. Wake up, get up from your bed, go on your knees and do the praying position and be thankful for God that you're alive. Regardless of the condition, buhay ka pa, hindi ka pinapatay o papatayin ka na as in sasabihan ka, Sir, terminal na yan, mamamatay ka na. So be thankful that you are alive, that thankful that you are healthy, and if not, that you at least have a spark of life. Parang yung mga transformer, the spark of life. Okay, medyo excited ang kuya ngayon this morning. Hindi po, nakapahinga lang. And that's another thing we should be thankful for rest. So we have an interesting program ahead of us today. We are going to talk about everything that flies, okay? Hindi Superman ang pag-uusapan natin, but it's all flight-related and very interesting because naging controversial po ito at the beginning of the year, but things are being remedied at the CAAP or Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, and we will catch up with their Director General later. But before that, let me remind you, it's February 22, 2023. It's a Wednesday. Hindi ko lang matandaan. Alam ko hindi pa. Alam ko next week pa dahil wala pang mga bulong-bulong, wala pang mga namumutol ng mga dahon ng palmera sa mga paligid. But I don't think it's Ash Wednesday yet, pero malapit na, no? Okay, so it's a Wednesday, and let's start the day with our daily starter. And I picked it up on Facebook at one point. Hindi ko lang nakuha yung author, but I think it comes from the Book of Miracles, if I'm not mistaken. Slowly is the fastest way to get where you want to go or to be. Let me repeat that. Slowly is the fastest way to get where you want to be. And this is a play of words, kumbaga medyo may konting kiliti. But the point here is, yes, you can run. Yes, you can fly. Yes, you can be faster than a speeding bullet. Pag tumama ka naman sa bulletproof vest, wala ka rin paglalagyan kung bala ka, hindi ba? You can be the fastest runner, nadapa ka. Di galusan ka na, talo ka pa. So that word or that daily starter is to remind us, slowly, parang ako doon sa aking mga alagang manok. You know, I concentrated on the hens first and the roosters and then the taking care of the breeding and the feeding and then the eggs and then the chicks. And people keep saying, saan mo lalagyan? Sabi ko, hindi pa nga napipisa yung itlog. Pinuproblema nyo na yung paglalagyan. Ayun, okay? So, slowly is the fastest way to get where you're going, okay? So, let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star. Philippines, U.S. set to hold biggest balikatan exercise, okay? The annual exercise to include maritime and territorial defense exercises. Ayan po, no? Medyo it is now several weeks that the United States and the Philippine side have been saying that this is going to be one huge military exercise here in the West Philippine Sea particularly. And kung hindi po nyo alam bakit ito pinapaypayan, paalala po ito. This is a reminder to our neighbors, okay, particularly China, specifically China, that the mutual defense treaty with between the US and the Philippines is alive and healthy. So medyo yun na, slowly rin sila, mag-ingat-ingat din sila. Okay, so anyway, Filipino and American troops are set to hold their biggest joint military exercises in April under Balikatan 2023 amid China's growing brazenness, okay, in asserting its claim over waters within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. Okay. So, abangan nyo po yan. Maganda panoorin yan, palagay ko. Kung makakalapit kayo or meron kayong mga powerful na mga binoculars or telescopes. Meanwhile, former Chief Justice warns versus political proxy delegates in the Constitutional Convention. Only a hybrid constitutional convention or CONCON can negate attempts by unscrupulous politicians to have their proxies elected at large by Filipino voters should efforts to revise the 1987 Constitution push through. Okay, yan po ang sinabi ni former Chief Justice Renato Puno. Okay, yan po, no? So, medyo kasi pinagpipilitan ng mga ilang congressman, some of whom are our friends, na bago talaga yung constitution natin. Ang problema is not the changing of the constitution, it's the trust factor. Hindi pinagtitiwalaan basta Congress ang may pakana. Okay, Senate Resolution filed versus ICC probe. Senator Jinggoy Estrada filed Senate Resolution 492 expressing the chamber's strong opposition to the resumption of the International Criminal Court's investigation on the Duterte administration's bloody campaign against illegal drugs that left over 6,000 suspects dead in operations. Mas marami pa yatang napatay kesa sa Yolanda, no? Anyway, 44 million wasted vaccines to be destroyed. Yan na nga ba sinasabi natin? Ha? Pagka dami-daming pagmamadali. Yan, another example. Rush, rush, rush. Buy, buy, buy. Now burn, burn, burn. The disposal of the 44 million wasted COVID-19 vaccines will be done through pyrolysis or decomposition by high temperature. In other words, susunugin laang pagka dami-dami pang mga scientific terms na ginamit. But still, the problem remains in disposal of the ashes. Kumbaga, parang cremation yan, no? Kinremate mo lahat yung bakuna. Ngayon, sino mag-uuwi nung labi? Okay, sorry po, no? Ewan ko ba kung ano nilagay ng misis ko sa kape ko ngayong umaga. Parang may pagka-piloso pong tasyo ako. Okay. RCEP advantages to Philippine agriculture according to the NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan said that the ratification of RCEP would help the agriculture sector be competitive and productive contrary to claims that it would kill the industry. In an ideal world, tama po si Secretary Balisacan. Kung lahat ayos sa tabla, panalo tayo. Ang problema, para kang nagpasok ng malnourished na native na manok sa international derby. Kumbaga, yung Philippine agriculture is in such bad shape that some people don't even call it an industry but a patchwork of sectors kasi napabayaan masyado ng Department of Agriculture, Kongreso, Senado at Malacanang. Okay. Reduced bail to be sought for indigent defendants. Si Secretary Boying Remulla naman issued on Monday a department circular that ordered prosecutors to reduce bail for poor respondents to a maximum of 10,000 only. Okay, kung bailable po yan, mga kaibigan, let's be clear that if an indigent individual, yung talagang sobrang hirap, walang capacity to pay, commits a crime and it is bailable, the maximum bail required will be only 10,000 para raw po mabawasan yung mga kinukulong. Kasi naman po, ang daming mga petty crimes sa Amerika nga. Basagin yung basag kotse gang. Hindi na hinuhuli, hindi na nire-report. Sinasabi, file mo na lang sa insurance mo. Iyon. We don't want that in the Philippines, but it could happen if we are not careful. Anyway, on the left side of the star, lower left side, we have a photo of Pauline Romero, a teacher of Rafael Palma Elementary School in San Andres Bukid, instructing her students on what to do when an earthquake hits. Okay, so please, ladies and gentlemen, if you can, if you would, medyo go around your house, your offices, and check your facilities and perimeter. Number one, if there is a major earthquake, kayo ba ay mabubuhay? Kayo ba ay makakalabas ng bahay o building? And saan kayo tutuloy? Because the reality of an earthquake, a major earthquake in Metro Manila is not far from possible. Okay. Meanwhile, after 2 years, ito yung tinatanong ko kanina, after 2 years, Physical Ash Wednesday resumes. The Catholic Church is inviting the faithful to participate in the daubing of ashes on their forehead as it resumes today the physical observance of Ash Wednesday. Ayun! Tama pala yung suspecha ko. Sabi ko na nga ba, today is Ash Wednesday. So, kung marami po kayong makita dyan na may krus na itim sa kanilang noo, hindi po yan target, ha? Huwag niyong susumpitin, okay? Yan po ay mga mababait na taong nagsimba at nagpalagay ng krus na abo para papaalaala, reminder to you that from ash thou came, to ash thou will return. And wrapping up our final news, a Filipino-Hong Kong venture won the 24 billion tunnel deal. The government is awarded a 24 billion contract to build a tunnel making Capt, the North-South Commuter Railway with the future Metro Manila Subway project to a joint venture of Filipino and Hong Kong firms, namely the First Balfour Inc., Hong Kong-based Leighton Asia, and NSCR. Yan po. Okay, so, and then last but not the least, photo at the bottom of the front page, SunTrust Properties Inc. recently won the coveted Best Developer of the Year for Luzon at the 2022 Carousel Awards. Okay, yan po. Okay, so that about wraps up our news for the Today Philippine Star. And kung mamarapatin po ninyo, please buy yourself a copy and become informed, aware. And if you don't want to buy the dyaryo because hindi na masyadong umiikot yung dyaryo bote sa lugar niyo, punta po kayo online and subscribe with Philippine Star. Okay, let's now go to our interview today. Sinabi ko na po earlier, we are going to talk all about CAAP. Ano ba gayang CAAP na yan, and whatever happened to the problems that the Civil Aviation Group had regarding their technical difficulties at the end of yung New Year ba? Okay? So, Gab, let's roll out the Betamax.
Captain Manuel Antonio Tamayo currently serves as Director General of the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or CAAP. Prior to this, he was DOT or Undersecretary for Aviation and Airports. Tamayo is a licensed pilot with 42 years of experience.
Okay, Director General Tamayo, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Pastor Cito. Thank you for inviting us to your program.
Ginagaya mo si President Estrada, ha? Talagang para bushitin ako at kilitiin ako, tatawag ako, Pastor! Okay? Anyway, thank you, good morning. And so, perhaps if
Naghang?
kayo, and it's fine.
Pastor, we're having technical difficulties.
Okay, welcome back to the program agenda. I don't know if someone is trying to sabotage my internet service. At saka, gamit ko naman Motolite. So, hindi ako dapat na-discharge, di ba? Anyway, DG Tamayo, okay, I was going to ask you, because some people call you Capski, sabi ko, ano ba si Kapitan? Kapitan ng barko? Kapitan ng eroplano? DG Tamayo, could you tell us a little about your background in the aviation field?
Well, thank you for that. Can I call you Cito? Wag nang Pastor.
Yes, sir.
Yan naman tayo eh. Baka tawagin mo na naman akong kapareho ni Erap. Anyway, yes, I came from the Air Force. 16 years po ako dun sa Air Force, and then I decided to join the airlines. That was sometime 1988. So in PAL naman, I was a commercial pilot, also a management pilot, for 28 years.
Wow.
So commercial pilot, then I was management, I was chief pilot of different divisions, then I became the head of training as assistant vice president, and then finally, my last position was vice president for operations. I retired from PAL twice in 2011 and 2016. 2011 kasi before 60 yung age limit for pilots eh. Extend nila up to 65. So I was the right time at the right place. So they extended me for an additional 5 years until I retired 2016. A day after my retirement, I was offered to join CAAP as Deputy Director General for Administration. And I served for only about 8 months, and then I was requested, or I was assigned as Undersecretary for Aviation until my retirement in 2020, retirement from government. Then I was enjoying my retirement, adjusted to the wife, she adjusted to me being home. Alam niyo naman yan, hindi kayo sanay magkasama, di ba? We took about 3 months for us to get adjusted to each other. And then on July 1, 2022, the Secretary Bautista, who was my former boss in PAL, called me up late, hindi naman late, mga 9:30 in the evening, and offered me the position, asking me to help out. So here I am. So I finally took my oath as Director General of CAAP November of 2022.
Okay, so now you had a baptism of fire coming into the position of Director General, where we had a ano ba talaga yung naging problema? Because from what came out on social media, the entire airspace of the Philippines had no radar, had no communication. So the government said no flights for safety concerns. Wala mo nang lilipad, walang papasok, walang lalanding. But what was the cause really? Although it's been talked about in media, kasi some people say yung uninterrupted power supply, yung iba nagsabi voltage regulator, yung iba nagsabi baterya. Ano ba talaga nangyari?
Can I just give you a brief background lang what the CNS ATM is?
Just quickly, simply kasi alam mo, maraming nahilo dun sa mga terms na ginamit sa Senado eh.
Oo, itong CNS ATM stands for Communication, Navigation, Surveillance, Air Traffic Management. This is state of the art. In most countries now, this is what they use for air traffic control. So we have 13 radars aside from the ATMC, and it covers, when I say covers, 100% of the Philippine airspace. So it's online 24/7. We control international and domestic air operations or flights over the country. So going to what happened on 1 January, that's New Year's Day. As you said, it is a baptism of fire. So ang nangyari po dito, biglang it conked out. I mean, we lost power to the ATMC building or the air traffic management building, the air traffic control system. Nawalan ho ng power. So the initial diagnosis was that the UPS went on standby, in standby mode. Dalawa ho yung UPS for redundancy, and our power supply comes from Meralco, which is the primary, and we have 2 standby generators as redundancy again. So that was the initial findings. So after it was restored sometime, I think 12, around lunchtime of New Year, kasi nag-conk out to before 10 in the morning. It was determined that it was not actually the UPS that failed, but it was a circuit breaker in the building. Doon nila nakita, and then may mga naamoy silang nasunog, and it turned out merong overvoltage na lumabas. Hindi ko ba ng mga circuit breakers, kung anong pumasok sa power mo, yun din ang lalabas sa load mo. So it's that simple, diretso. Pero ang lumabas, 380 volts on one of the lines when it should have been 220 volts. So, ganun ho nangyari. So, ang ginawa ho ng mga technicians natin because of that and because of the urgency dahil, yun na nga, we cannot afford to have air traffic disrupted for so long. They bypassed the circuit breaker. Nilagay ko nila diretso sa doon sa load side. Yun ho, umandar na yung ating CNS-ATM. However, degraded kasi there were some systems that were affected. Like yung VSAT natin, yung very small aperture terminal, yun hong round disk yan for the layman that takes a signal from the satellites. So, yun ho, dalawa nagka-diferensya. But by 5, I think, in the afternoon, on about 5, na-restore ho yung isa. And then na-restore yung second by about past 10 o'clock in the evening. So we were fully operational. Ang nangyari dito, despite of the failure, we were able to allow air operations to continue. Mga 39 aircraft ang nakapag-land pa But we prevented departures kasi nga degraded yung system and we do not want to compromise yung safety ng passengers. So in short, we were able to restore it in not so short, but in ample time naman to restore the operations of our air traffic system. So after there was an investigation. We were not involved in the investigation. It was external ho ang nag-investigate dito, as directed by the Secretary Jaime Bautista, and of course by the President. So hindi ho kami involved. And forensics were done on the on the circuit breaker. They found some anomalies. Meron ho pang nasunog na power transfer switch. So yun ho ang ginawa natin. But we have replaced the circuit breaker. Yun hong nagka-difference ng circuit breaker. Immediately ho, not naman immediately, we didn't have a spare because the one that we had was different. Different amperes nga, different yung size. But we were able to procure the following day exactly the same brand, the same ratings, and so on. Nung kinabit yan, nag-normalize naman lahat. So we have not had any issues so far since January 2nd when we replaced it. Yan pa rin na nakakabit. Then we have replaced also yung mga nasira natin, yung power transfer switch, yung mga backup converter sa VSAT natin. Dumating na ho yan, mga bago na yung nakakabit. And also going back to the UPS, yun yung UPS natin nag-standby. Sabi nila, initially kala namin nasira. Yung pala, as far as the UPS is concerned, it is a smart UPS and then it will go on standby if it detects anomaly, like overvoltage. Standby lang siya to protect the rest of the system, the CNS-ATM. So we determined na, okay siya, except for one, nagkaroon ng ingay sa blower. So it has redundancy. So one UPS can work, even the other one is not. So napaandar natin yan for a couple of days using one UPS until it was finally repaired. Hindi ho tayo huminto dyan. Ang ginawa natin, nag-procure tayo ng bagong UPS. Andito na ho, dalawa. Now, they keep, lately, lumabas ho yung AVR natin that may malfunction. Yes, indeed, we admit that na August pa pala ho, may malfunction yan It was degraded. It took some time for parts to arrive. In fact, it's only arriving this week. But ang ginawa pa natin, kahit na may parts, umorder ho tayo ng bago So dadating yan within 2 weeks kasi galing sa abroad pa eh. I think it's coming from Turkey. So it takes time for us to be able to restore the system to how it was designed. So
DG people might say, grabe, napaka-importante niyan. All of those parts and backups are so necessary. Why don't you guys just have a bodega or a storeroom full of a backup or second replacement parts? Or are these things, do they cost hundreds of millions, which makes it difficult for you to purchase and put them on standby?
Indeed, that is what we are going to do. I'm saying going to do. Kasi anong nangyari dito, after the expiry of the warranty that was in 2020, we could not engage Sumitomo Thales. They are the contractors who provided the building and the parts and the servicing of the CNS ATM. So by 2020, dahil nga merong claims and counterclaims na existing na hindi sila nababayaran ng utang. Because the cost of the CNS ATM went up to about 10.8 billion.
Billion or million?
Billion. Mahal ho talaga.
Akala ko, $100,000 lang eh. Hindi pala million, billion pala yung pyesa. Yung halaga niyan.
Yes. And we availed of the JICA loan para kung magkaroon tayo nito. And the project started way back 2010. Ang haba ho, nakatatlong administrations until finally in 2018, it was in place. Now, when the warranty was about to expire, so we were already negotiating with Sumitomo Thales for the supply support as well as the parts and maintenance and so on. However, ang sabi nila, while there are still claims and counterclaims and they haven't been paid, they could not agree to that. So finally, nung pumasok po si Secretary Bautista, as early as September, he was aware of this already. Sabi niya, let's settle the claims. So last year ho, nung September, yun ang directive niya. Na ano naman ho, because nag-concentrate tayo ang DOTR doon, because it was DOTR who procured the CNS ATM. By early this year, February of this year, itong month na to, na-settle na yan. So, now, we have engaged Sumitomo Thales, and again, now, they are willing to provide us all the technical support, all the supplies, and the assistance for us to be able to get this very critical equipment running again. So
okay, now, moving forward, what is the state of affairs? So, Secretary Jimmy Bautista and you and the DOTR team have managed to resolve the issues with Sumitomo, and then they delivered the necessary parts, equipment, and backups so that you will sleep soundly at night?
Thank you for that. I still don't sleep soundly at night until I am sure that this will be up and running. And yes, we have engaged them. We have talked to them, but as usual, it takes a bit of time for us to be able to get the parts. Kasi these guys are based in Thales is based in Australia, and the parts are coming from all over, like France and other countries. So, but they gave us assurance that they will give us priority to be able to, have this running more efficiently and more reliably. It will become more reliable. So, on our part naman kasi, ang ginawa naman natin, yung mga initial na binili natin dito, like the UPS, the AVRs, the circuit breakers, and the other small items, we sourced it from CAAP funds tinignan namin yung mga savings dyan or whatever funds that we can use immediately. Kasi emergency to, doon namin kinuha. However, yun hong JICA loan, kasi hindi pa ho nag-expire ito eh. It was extended. And the loan is worth about 13 billion. Ang nagastos lang natin is 10.8 billion. May savings pa ho tayo dyan. So we requested NEDA and JICA to allow us to still utilize the balance of the loan. So ngayon, the major parts, the more expensive parts, we will use the JICA loan that has been agreed upon, and it will take, in-expedite naman nila kasi sabi namin this is of utmost importance and it should not happen again. So we were given a timeline on when we will get delivery. Initially, we are requesting for a health check. Kasi hindi nga nila na-check ng since 2020. We are requesting for a health check for us to determine ano ba talaga ang nangyari, anong nasira, ano ang dapat natin palitan, and so on. Kasi 2018 pa yung when this was put online, but most of the hardwares will be obsolete by 2024.
When you say obsolete, does that mean we have to replace the entire system? Because, I spent about 3 years, almost 4 years with pilots and the group who was trying to put up on airlines. And one of the things I learned about the aircrafts and airlines, hindi ito yung klase na, sige, pudpud na yung isang gulong, palitan mo na muna yung isa, or yung isang bumbilya, punde, palitan mo yung, you replace sets, you replace systems, etc. With your facility, are we talking parts or are we talking systems? You're correct. We have to we need the software upgrades and we need hardware upgrades as well. Kasi yung katulad ng natin, yung mga kasi highly computerized to eh. Imagine it's running on Windows 7, Windows XP. So it might not be compatible kasi nga ang tagal bago natin na place on na operationalize ito. And the parts were procured the time that I think the contract was was signed. Buhay pa si Steve Jobs.
So, ganun ho. Yung sabi sa amin, if we're actually due for 2 software upgrades na it should have been done in 2020 up to now, 2.
Yeah.
Ito, sabi nila, it will still operate, but moving forward, succeeding upgrades will not be compatible with the hardware. So, that is what we have to do on the immediate and medium term before.
Naku po, mga kaibigan, para dun sa inyong medyo nano-nosebleed sa usapan na ito, yan pong sinasabing upgrade. Isipin nyo na lang yung telepono ninyo. Pag hindi kayo nag-upgrade ng latest iOS sa telepono ninyo, at biglang bumiyahe kayo sa Japan o sa Amerika, sinasabi nga nila sa abroad, kung ang telepono ninyo ay G2, 2G, 3G, etc., baka hindi nyo magamit sa ibang bansa. Nadanas ko na yan. Now, imagine an aviation system, an aviation monitoring system that needs to connect to all the hundreds of aircrafts in the airspace all over the Philippines. Pag biglang, sorry, but your current data is not compatible, baka magsalpukan po lahat yan sa himpapawid. So, we have a serious problem. Okay, let's go for a quick break. Director General, and when we return, moving forward, what's happening now? I heard you guys have a lot of new stuff and things are improving rapidly. Maybe you can share that right after this quick break.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, welcome back to the program agenda, and with us is the Director General of the Civil, siya na nga ang pag-explaining ko. Ako nagugulo dito Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, Manuel Tamayo. DG, dati na ba talagang CAAP, Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines yan? Or merong ibang pangalan before yan?
Ang dating pangalan po nito was ATO, remember? Air Traffic.
Ayun, Traffic Office.
Yes.
Ayun, tapos ngayon hinabaan para lalo ako magkabulol-bulol.
Actually,
Anyway.
standard naman yung pangalan natin. Kasi ICAO, like in Singapore, they call it CAAS. Parang ganun.
Okay.
So, it's just an ICAO compliant na.
Okay. So it's an international requirement.
Yes.
Okay, now, the DG, moving forward. So we've already established what happened. You pointed out that your team has professionally remedied, resolved the problem, did the necessary corrections. So clearly we're all operating. But apparently, we are operating under a cloud of, paano ba yun? Apprehension ba yun? Kasi sabi mo, outdated we are two apps or software behind and
Yes.
hardware behind.
Yes. So when it comes to those upgrades natin, we requested Thales to prioritize this.
Mhm.
So they will give us a timeline. Sabi namin, we need it immediately. Sabi nila mga 6 weeks or something. And they will make sure that it will be compatible with what we have.
Mhm.
Also, meron mo silang nire-recommend yung ultimate fallback system. I would like to differentiate this from an independent backup system. Now, ultimate fallback system, it's an additional workstation. So kahit na mag-fail yung ating main system,
Mhm.
meron po tayong redundancy but with limited capability.
Mhm.
Now, what we are recommending, which is practice worldwide, is to build or construct an independent backup system which will mirror the CNS ATM now, or be even more modern and advanced. In most countries, dalawa ho lagi. May primary, may independent fallback system, no? So, kailangan ho natin yung backup niya talaga. And it should be located it should not be collocated in one place. Kasi just in case of magka-earthquake, tamaan tayo dito.
Well, actually, that is the question I was going to ask next, no? Because I noticed that as a by virtue of habit, operators always put their offices at the airport.
Yes.
And okay, it rarely happens, pero kung ma-landingan yung building nyo ng isang aeroplanong nagwala, like what happened in Holland, in the Netherlands, one of the most frightening events there was when a plane crashed into a residential area next to the airport, next to Schiphol.
Yes.
I was just wondering, and then, syempre, I was just reading the news, itong balikatan exercise, China, Taiwan. Wouldn't it be prudent to locate that facility and the ultimate backup in bunkers or areas that are really detached and unknown to the public? Kasi parang national, someone, I think it was Clarita Carlos who suggested that your office be placed as a national security facility.
You're correct, you're correct, sir. So that's why we will be requesting or we are looking for a contractor who will do a feasibility study for the backup system, independent backup system of CAAP. And they will be the ones to tell us kung saan natin ilalagay, where is it. Sabi nga, yung primary natin, baka mag-earthquake dito, magka-floods dito, as what you said, malapit sa airport, baka mag-crash. So, kailangan talaga, it should be planned on where it should be located. Now, pagka nakuha ho natin itong backup system na to, definitely it will be more modern, more current. This will be our primary na. Itong existing natin, itong magiging backup na lang. So, yun ho yung plano natin. We have set aside funds for that. In fact, I think it will be sourced from CAAP. Mahal din, but as what we said, this is national security, and it is really equipment.
National security, aviation safety. Now, my next question, Director General Tamayo. Clearly we have no choice in the matter. If we want to have an aviation industry, if we want to have security in our airspace, etc., we need to pay the price. From what I understand, and please no, ayoko pong magmarunong, baka naman mali-mali ako dito, but from what I understand, CAAP earns a living. Kumbaga, kumikita naman yata kayo. How does CAAP earn a living, make money for the government, and do you make enough money to cover your costs?
Yes, sir. CAAP is a GOCC. So, we earn our own funds. However, yung funds naman ng CAAP, like the past, I think since 2016, if I'm not mistaken, up to 2020, it was remitted, 22 billion was remitted to the national government. So, maliit
Since, sorry, DG, 20 billion?
22 billion.
Was remitted to cover the period from when to when?
To 2020.
Okay. 1 year lang? 22 billion?
No. 2016 to 2020.
Okay.
Approximately 22 billion was remitted to the National Treasury.
Okay.
So, by the time pandemic hit, CAAP had to request assistance or support from the national government kasi na-deplete yung funds, especially during the COVID. Bumagsak yung mga earnings, less ang operations ng airlines. So, during the first year, I think that was in 2021, CAAP received about 2.4 billion.
Less than what CAAP normally earns.
Yes, and then the following year, I think it was 1.4 billion naman na naging support from the national government. However, 2023, ang nakuha ho lang ng CAAP was 100 million to support our operations. So we have to we have to look into that. I think the houses of Congress and has to look into that because we can actually support all the aviation needs, itong mga upgrades and so on, if we can have fiscal autonomy. But because of this, kulang ho talaga yung nangyayari na iwan sa CAAP.
So, pasensya ka na, no? Take 7 ako sa Math 11 eh. So, umaabot ba tayo ng mga 3 billion a year or 4 billion a year on a normal year for CAAP revenues?
Yun hong natin, the annual operating expense, on the average, is anywhere about 8 to 9 billion.
Okay.
Kaya ho ng CAAP i-support yan.
Okay.
However, because of the amount that was transferred to the National Treasury and the current situation of the aviation industry and CAAP, na-deplete yung funds. Kaya kinukulang ngayon.
Kasi alam ko like with and of course this is no comparison, but my friends at the LTO used to say, Kuyang, we earn billions of pesos annually. But we don't get to keep a single centavo. We have to remit it to the national government. So the LTO is always poor and always begging. Kanya hindi magawa yung mga plaka, kanya hindi magawa yung mga proper testing center, kanya sila nakikiusap kung kani-kanino para makapagtayo ng LTO offices. They have to find investors. Now, for CAAP, and I don't want to put you in the spot, but people should understand, you're earning enough money to cover your annual expenses, but you are required. Paano ang arrangement ninyo? Cover your expenses first, or sorry, send all the money home and then magpapadala na lang kami ng allowance mo?
We're required to remit, if I'm not mistaken, 50% of our earnings to the national government.
Okay.
So,
And then, who pays for your utang to JICA?
The OTR ho yan, because they were the ones who engage Sumito Motales and for this project itself.
Okay, so ayun. So you're going to have to do something about fiscal autonomy of CAAP because we are talking about national security and not just a commercial concern and national safety in the skies. Okay, so a good point to medyo susulat ko nga yan. Okay. Medyo thank you for giving me some material. Anyway, so what else is there? Okay, so you're making money, which is good. You have fixed the problems. What about these safety issues of aircrafts and operators? Kasi napapag-usapan yung series of plane crashes, etc. And I get the impression that the small, yung mga tutubi aircraft, tutubi airlines, and yung mga training planes for wannabe pilots and even of the Air Force, parang sila yata yung merong highest mortality rate. Is this confirmed by CAAP and what are we doing about this?
Yun hong CAAP kasi, we regulate these small operators, these flying schools, and so on. We make sure that the licenses are current, the airworthiness of the aircraft are checked on an annual basis. We make sure the training programs are updated and within standards. Yun ho kasi mga Cessna, ang dami niyan eh. The Cessna aircraft, there are many of them. And in most of the flying schools now, ang ginagamit naman nila kasi are more of the older models ng mga Cessna. So obviously, no matter how good you maintain this, parang kotse ho yan eh. Reciprocating yung engine yan eh.
Vintage na yung mga yan eh.
Vintage, yes. Yun hong nag-crash natin sa sa Bicol. That came out, I think, in the late 70s pa yung model niyan. Although it's reliable, we checked the experience of the pilot. He's very experienced. We checked the airworthiness. It's current. And yun nga ho, chinecheck ng mga natin yan, yung CAAP personnel, inspectors, to make sure that the maintenance procedures are followed. Tsaka wala hong defect. So these things are all regulated by CAAP. We're doing the best that we can to make sure no accidents or incidents happen. However, yung nangyari ko sa atin sa Isabela, hanggang ngayon di pa natin nakikita, this was a very short flight, di ba? Mga 30 minutes lang yan. Unfortunately, yung during that time, medyo, I think the weather was marginal. So up to now, it hasn't been found. Likewise, the thing that happened in Bicol, I think it was, the weather again was not really good, but medyo cloudy, medyo hazy. So that thing happened, and yun nga, nahanap dun sa Mayon volcano, yung aeroplano.
Any update on what happened to the passengers of the flight that crashed in Mayon volcano?
Yun hong yung accident na yon, we were able to track the flight through our CNS ATM. Nakita ho namin yan, may transponder, and nakita namin yung last altitude niya and position. So based on that, we directed the SAR operations, yung search and rescue operations, to look at that specific point.
Yeah.
Ang lapit po sa Mayon yan eh. It was only 0.6 miles. What's this from the peak of Mayon volcano?
Wow.
So alam naman natin Mayon is about 8,100 feet high, and its last position report was at 6,400. So ang lapit niya.
Mhm.
And this aircraft naman, hindi naman ho ito it's not controlled by CAAP kasi VFR flight ho ito, visual flight rules. They don't fly yung airways.
Walang computers na nakalink sa CAAP.
Yung transponder niya is linked to CAAP. That's why we easily found out where the last position was at nakita natin kaagad.
Yeah, but why are we not able to find the one that was in Isabela? Because yun nga, all of these aircrafts are supposed to have transponders. Yung abroad nga, you're required an additional beacon or signal device.
Yes. Yung kasing the missing Cessna in Isabela, that's again an older generation, single engine. So it is not a requirement for them to have a transponder.
Mhm.
So hindi na track yan, not even a blip. It is supposed to have an ELT, emergency locator transmitter.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it did not transmit its position. Kasi it's supposed to be, kahit na lumubog sa tubig yan, or kahit na mag-crash, it's supposed to be emitting a signal on the position of the aircraft. So, just like what happened in Bicol, baka naman nasira on impact.
Okay. Okay, so there were talks about, what to do about this kind of aircrafts. Kasi in some countries, phase out na dapat eh. Is that even a possibility in the Philippines to phase out these aircrafts? Kasi last time I flew on one of those, medyo nanigarilyo yung control board. Biglang sinabihan ko yung piloto, baba mo to 6.
Yun hong mga aircraft naman, lagi hong may service bulletin yan eh. As long as we comply with the service bulletin, this can fly a long time. Parang yung natin, di ba, cellphone eh, lagi may upgrade. Pagka in-upgrade mo, okay ka na naman. It's the same thing for aircraft, especially airlines.
Yeah.
May service bulletin yan, you comply with it.
Okay. Well, DG, napasarap ang usapan natin. I'm only glad that you were able to update us regarding all of the happenings at CAAP. So the equipment is there, everything is running. You are processing backup and ultimate backups. The DOTR Secretary Bautista has resolved the issue with Sumitomo Talents, and now you found one aircraft, still looking for another aircraft. But otherwise, things are working at the CAAP.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share what we are doing in CAAP.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Director General, and I pray that the Lord will bless you and your team, everyone at CAAP, and that our friends in Congress and in government will come to realize that you are a national security concern. You are our first defense, and therefore we should give you financial independence and also help you more. Thank you. God bless you, sir.
Thank you very much, Pastor.
Okay, hindi po tayo pastor, pero ayun na po. Okay, we will now read our exhortation for the week. It comes from the book of Psalms chapter 1, verses 1 to 2. Blessed is the man that does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law does he meditate day and night. Tandaan po niyan, iwas pusoy na lang kayo sa mga basagulero, gawagulo, makasalanan, at masisib kayo. Okay, thank you for joining us today. God bless you. Keep it here on One News.
Thank you very much.